UConn Huskies women's basketball. The UConn Huskies women's basketball team is the college basketball program representing the University of Connecticut in Storrs, Connecticut, in NCAA Division I women's basketball competition. They completed a 7-season tenure in the American Athletic Conference in 2019-20, and came back to the Big East Conference for the 2020-21 season, too. UConn Huskies. 2023-24 UConn Huskies women's basketball team. University of Connecticut. First season 1974-75. All-time record 1,241 to 312.799. Athletic Director David Benedict. Head Coach Gino Orima, 38th season. National flag blue and white. The UConn Huskies are the most successful women's basketball program in the nation, having won a record 11 NCAA Division I national championships and a women's record 4 in a row, from 2013 through 2016, 3, plus over 50 conference regular season and tournament championships. They have taken part in every NCAA tournament since 1989, as of the end of the 2018-19 season. This is the third longest active streak in Division I, 4, from 2008 to 2022, they appeared in a record 14 consecutive Final Fours, 5. UConn owns the two longest winning streaks, men's or women's, in college basketball history. The longest streak, 111 straight wins, started with a win against Creighton University on November 23, 2014, and ended on March 31, 2017 when a buzzer beater at the end of overtime caused a 66-64 loss in the 2017 NCAA Final Four to Mississippi State. 6. The second streak counts 90 consecutive wins, including two undefeated seasons, 2008-09 and 2009-10, and was delimited by two losses against Stanford, the first on April 6, 2008 in the national semifinals of the NCAA tournament, and the second, 3 seasons later, on December 19, 2010. 7. The Huskies also own the longest winning streak in regular season games in college history, after an overtime loss to Stanford on November 17, 2014. They won their next 126 regular season games until a 68-57 loss to Baylor on January 3, 2019. 8. UConn's current head coach is Luigi Gino Orima, who joined the team in 1985. Coach Orima is one of the most successful coaches in college basketball. His 1,149 to 150.885 record as of April 2022 represents the highest winning percentage among NCAA basketball coaches, minimum 10 seasons, any level, men's or women's. 9. While ranking him second in all-time women's wins behind current Stanford coach Tara Vanderveer. UConn has also been one of the leaders in women's basketball attendance. The team plays its home games at both the Harry A. Gamble Pavilion in Storrs and the XL Center in Hartford. History. Early years, 1974 to 1991. After just one winning season in 10 years under coaches Sandra Hamm, 1974-75, Wanda Flora, 1975-80, and Jean Balthazar, 1980-85, UConn hired as their new head coach Gino Orima, who had served as assistant coach at Virginia, with the goal of revitalizing the program. Orima's training skills had an immediate impact and the team showed steady signs of progress. After going 12-15 in his first season in 1985-86, Orima led UConn to winning seasons in 1986-87 and 1987-88. Orima pulled off one of his biggest and most important early recruiting successes in 1987 when he convinced an All-American from New Hampshire, Carrie Bascom, to come to UConn. Bascom had an immediate impact on the UConn program. In 1989 she won the Big East Player of the Year award as a sophomore. She also won the award in her junior and senior years, and led UConn to its first Big East regular season and tournament title, along with its first ever NCAA tournament appearance. The tournament ended in a first-round loss. With Bascom and teammates Laura Lishnas, Megan Patty-Sun, Wendy Davis and Debbie Baer, UConn reached the NCAA tournament again in 1990, losing 61-59 to Clemson in the second round after a first-round bye. In Arima's sixth season, 1990-91, the program broke through on the national scene, again capturing the Big East regular season and tournament titles, and earning a number 3 seed in the East Regional of the NCAA tournament, its highest seed up to then. UConn beat Toledo 81-80 at Gampel Pavilion in the opening round game, with Bascom scoring a team NCAA tournament single-game record 39 points, and moved on to the regionals at the Palestra in Arima's hometown of Philadelphia. Here the team upset heavily favored ACC power North Carolina State in the Sweet 16, and then defeated Clemson 60-57 to advance to their first-ever Final Four, also a first for any Big East school. UConn's season ended with a 61-55 loss to top-seeded Virginia in the national semifinals at Lakefront Arena in New Orleans. Bascom was hit with early foul trouble and Virginia held off a late UConn rally. Including these final tournament games, Bascom had set a new UConn scoring record with 2,177 points during her years at the school. Rebecca Lobo era 1992-1995. 1995 championship trophy, ring, and signed ball. UConn followed up its surprise run to the Final Four in 1991 by landing All-American Rebecca Lobo from Southwick, Massachusetts. UConn had modest success in Lobo's first 2 seasons, losing early in the NCAA tournament in both seasons. In 1993-94, UConn had its most successful season to that point wink with a frown 13, led by Lobo and teammates Jamel Elliott, Jennifer Rosati, Pam Weber, Kara Wolters, and Carla Berube. UConn won 30 games for the first time in program history, winning the Big East tournament and regular season titles. In the NCAA tournament UConn reached the Elite Eight but came up short in its hopes to make it back to the Final Four, losing to eventual champion North Carolina. 1995 National Championship, 1994-95 Connecticut Huskies women's basketball team. With every major player back from 1994, and the addition of Arima's most highly ranked recruit to date, Connecticut Player of the Year Nikesha Sales, UConn was in for a season to remember in 1994-95-14. The season started with an 80-point win over Morgan State. 2 weeks later, UConn defeated powerhouse North Carolina State by 23 points on the road. This season also saw the birth of one of the greatest rivalries in college sports, the UConn-Tennessee rivalry, that began when the two teams met for the first time on Martin Luther King Day at Gampel Pavilion. UConn defeated Tennessee 77-66 in front of a sold-out crowd in a game televised on ESPN and soon afterwards was ranked No. 1 in the polls for the first time in program history. UConn went unbeaten through the conference regular season and tournament and easily advanced into the NCAA tournament. In the regional final against Virginia, a 4-point win in their closest game of the year opened the doors of the Final Four at the Target Center in Minneapolis. 15, UConn blew out Stanford in the semifinals behind Wolters' 31 points, reaching the championship game for a rematch against Tennessee. In the final game, UConn found itself in early trouble when Lobo was called for 3 personal fouls in 94 seconds in the first half, but in the second half the team was able to rally from a 9-point deficit and a key Rosati layup gave UConn the lead with less than 2 minutes to go, a lead that the team kept until the final score of 70-64 and their first national title. Rebecca Lobo was named the Final Four's most outstanding player. With a perfect 35-0 record, UConn became only the 5th Division I women's basketball team to go undefeated en route to a national championship, and only the second in the NCAA era since 1982. The Huskies also became the first unbeaten team in NCAA history, all divisions, men or women, to win 35 games in a season. The 1994-95 UConn team was widely credited with increasing interest in women's basketball. The team was honored with a parade in Hartford, Connecticut that drew over 100,000 spectators. The team won the Team of the Year award at the ESPN ESPY Awards that year, and Lobo became a popular symbol of the sport.